According to the U.S. Supreme Court, no, your suppressor is not protected by the Second Amendment. Hey everybody, I'm Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. The New York Post with a headline today that should cause some eyebrows to raise among the gun community and the Second Amendment community. The Supreme Court rejects a bid to extend legal protections for gun suppressors, or as they put it, gun silencers. The Supreme Court rejected a bid to have silencers protected by the Second Amendment in a ruling on Monday, just days after one was used at the Virginia Beach massacre. A Kansas gun shop owner and a customer were fighting federal convictions for failing to register the devices, arguing that the constitutional right to keep and bear arms includes silencers, but the justices declined to hear the appeals, leaving the pair's convictions in place and sidestepping a controversial challenge to the law. The illegal bid was brought by Tough Guy's gun shop owner Shane Cox and his customer Jeremy Kettler, who were busted over a sale of a homemade, unlicensed silencer in violation of the National Firearms Act. The 1934 federal law requires certain firearms, including silencers, grenades, and machine guns, to be registered with the government. Now, the fact that you include machine guns, grenades, and silencers together, to me, is a little bit of a stretch. Both men were sentenced to probation. An appeals court in Denver upheld both men's convictions last year, prompting them to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. So, this kind of goes back to a deal we talked about on the radio show last week. President Trump, when asked about suppressors, or as the media likes to call them, silencers, said that he didn't like silencers. He didn't like silencers. Then he boarded Marine One and flew away. In a follow-up interview with, I believe it was Piers Morgan, when the president was overseas, Piers Morgan asked the president if he would think about banning suppressors, and the president said, "I may think about it." Now, these are concerning statements, especially after the U.S. Supreme Court has just weighed in that silencers are not protected under the Second Amendment. Now, we can debate all day whether or not they should be protected by the Second Amendment, and I think they should, but the Supreme Court has so far not ruled on that, and with rejecting this case, shows that they do not have an appetite to protect suppressors. So what does that mean? Well, it means the president could, I guess, in theory, sign an executive order banning suppressors, but I do think he would face a lawsuit, and I think he would face an uprising within the Republican Party and from those in the NRA, and also those who just support the Second Amendment overall. This is why I was against the bump stock ban, ladies and gentlemen. Even though I did not own a bump stock myself, I really didn't see the purpose of having a bump stock unless you just wanted to have fun. But I was still against the bump stock ban because it presented a slippery slope that the president went down. It was a ban of a modification. The president and those who wanted to ban the bump stock said, you don't have to have a bump stock. It doesn't improve your gun. It doesn't, infringe on your Second Amendment rights. It doesn't infringe on the ability for you to protect yourself, protect your home, go hunting, or anything like that. And technically, they're correct, but neither does a modded trigger. Neither does certain stocks or certain optics on a gun. You can still protect yourself from a tyrannical government, protect yourself from someone who wants to do you harm, someone who wants to bring harm upon your family, or go hunting. You can do all of those without optics, without modded triggers, or anything else, but in my opinion, we're going down a slippery slope. Remember, those on the left who want to take away the bump stocks, take away the silencers, take away trigger mods and everything else, their ultimate goal is to ban the firearm. That is their ultimate goal, and we can never forget that. My hope is that the president will move past any idea that he has of banning the silencer or banning a suppressor. My hope is that his son, Donald Trump Jr., who is an avid hunter and someone who has been in support of suppressors in the past, that he will talk to his dad and say, yeah, you really don't need to go down this road. But this Supreme Court ruling, or I guess Supreme Court rejection, and also the president's comments last week should make all of us pause a little bit and at least take notice of what the president is doing and also worry about the future. If President Trump was able, with a stroke of a pen, to get rid of bump stocks, what will a future, more liberal president, a Democrat president, a president who hates guns, what will they be able to do or attempt to do with a stroke of a pen? It's something to watch and something to watch out for, and I'll be watching out for it, I know, along with many of you. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show, weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO.